Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, it's Thursday. It's been, we took last week off because I was doing a podcast with BTC Jack, which we'll share probably early next week. We're finally at a point now where we've got a bunch of podcast episodes saved up. So we're going to start releasing those next week. Welcome to Thursday. Obviously, as we always say to anyone that's being affected by everything happening in the world right now, our thoughts are with you and your loved ones, and I hope you're staying safe and well. And for anybody that's struggling at this point, as we always say each week, ads and eyes, DMs, and all that stuff are open at any time. Obviously, there's not a great deal we can do, but sometimes just chatting is what people need. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're always here to help. Very quickly before we get into the thing, this is the last week ads that we are running our 14-day exclusive access to the Inner Circle. Had a bunch of people take us up on that. It's been a real pleasure getting to know some different faces inside the Inner Circle. I was having a chat with one of our new members the other night and sort of said that, Ads and I have never really had, I guess I wouldn't say a desire to make this a huge thing. We love the family that we have inside the Inner Circle, but it's been very refreshing having some new faces and some new ways of looking at things. Dory, my brother, for you, sharing your gun stuff a lot, and Bradley, who's just joined us, sharing some of his lower time frame strategies and all the things we've been doing in there. It's been really refreshing. So if you want to rejoin us for 14 days, this is the last week that we are running this. Do I think we'll run this again? Probably not, to be honest. We're pretty content with what we've got. So just really was to show people behind the scenes, and really what you're seeing inside the 14-day access is pretty much a little bit of a snippet of what we offer to the actual paid members. We've got our own custom indicators. We've got our own custom strategies. We've got UTG University, which is a whole slew of premium guides that we've written up on things like pin bars, Keltner channels, supply and demand, a whole bunch of different things. So if you do want to come and join us, you can sign up via our website at the 14-day exclusive access on the homepage, or you can find the link inside Discord. A couple of other things very quickly as well in our guides section, ads, the next tab along, Unity Trading Group /blog. We've really cleaned up a lot of our guides and made it very easy to understand and taken out some of the confusion and the feedback that we had on things like our Wyckoff accumulation, Fibonacci, Ichimoku, supply, demand, a whole bunch of things like that. So that's 12 of our best guides. More to come in the next couple of weeks, which you can find at unitytradinggroup.com/blog. And of course, looking at our Wyckoff article, this is sort of what you can see in our guides as we scroll down ads, really in-depth things about how to identify more advanced strategies and setups for myself. I've been scalping a lot lately, and we were thankful to get a really nice run the other day on the 5-minute charts. I had posted about an hour beforehand inside Discord and said, hey, this looks like an accumulation setup that we're seeing on the 5-minute here. And sure enough, we got a 2 or 3% move at the end of this mini accumulation phase. So we're starting to dive deeper now inside the Inner Circle and more advanced strategies. We understand that a lot of the guys that we have inside the Inner Circle now are advanced and have been with us for a few years now, or a couple of years, and we're able to start diving into more detailed things like this now. So very quick intro to UTG if you haven't learned about us before, but we welcome you, and we look forward to seeing you there. So let's get into Bitcoin and XRP, ADA, and we're going to have a look at power as well.
Perfect, Ty. Thank you very much. So, a lot of the guys in the Discord have been following BTC to the T, even on the smaller time frames, which is good to see.
Yeah.
But as of late, though, we were really identifying, I'll move this out the way, really identifying this level of demand here, just off this, what's the word now? This pivot point, there we go. And it was a very, very perfect bounce. If you do ask me, off the very close to the 50 off the demand, we pushed up onto the nearest supply zone. So these are very, very short term swings. Obviously, these aren't the major pivot points where we've got one here and obviously one further up to the top. But at the moment, we've eaten through majority of this supply zone right now with the wick through it, and we're really sitting at this level of liquidity that we spoke about on Tuesday night. and you can have a look back at that video because it is on our YouTube channel. We did stream Tuesday Night Live, so if you're interested, you can go back and watch that. But look, if we use the rules of supply and demand, Ty, where honestly we're probably setting up for the next leg up, in my opinion, because of this push through that level of liquidity. So honestly, 7,150, where our zero fibs was, and we were rejected back here on the 20th of March, could be where we head up next. And I know there's a lot of indicators on the 4 hour, the daily, and some things like Ichimoku and the moving averages that would comply with that type.
Yeah, definitely a 200 EMA. We've been using our EMA fan a little bit more lately inside the inner circle, and understanding how price respects, obviously, your 50, your 9, your 21, your 100 and 200. The 200 still sits up around that 27 extension at this point at the moment. I really do want to wait for confirmation because my fear is, and I did say inside the inner circle, and I kind of do want to stick to my guns a little bit in saying that this was an area where I was looking for shorts. I think 6725 was my top, and we broke a little bit higher than that today, but 6725 was where I was looking to short. The 200 MA has acted sort of historically as a little bit of a resistance point. I want to wait for confirmation before I jump into any shorts or longs at this point. But as you said, if we look at the rules of supply and demand, we have eaten through this like there was nothing there. Hence, we would expect a move to the upside. But, was this accumulation? Is this a form of distribution before we mark back down towards this 5-4 mark? We've been using our VPVR and our fixed range quite a fair bit as well lately, and which has been really well respected, particularly on the smaller time frames. And we're sitting right now at our point of control, and we would want to see a gap up to around here if we're going to respect these higher volume nodes. But again, this is the point that we need to break if we're going to do that. For myself, if we do start to teeter back down, I'm looking towards 6-4 as the next sort of point of mini control. If you go to it is a paid feature, but if you go to a fixed range or to a session volume, which we won't get into right now as to how we use that, the next part of session volume sits around 6-4. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did maybe move back down to create this sort of move. Back down around sort of 6-4 before we continue up. So something like this perhaps before we move up. But ultimately, if we do continue the way we're going and we do break through this point of control, then yeah, I'm definitely looking towards 7-1, 7-2 as the next point. And then, yeah, ultimately, if we can break that point, it's up towards that 27 extension around 7-8, which would be the top of this supply zone ads.
Yeah, absolutely it would. And if we zoom out to the daily as well, if we bring it back a little further, and we
Steamroller giving us the goods yet again. Sorry to interrupt there. Ad Steamroller, our custom indicator, gave us the oversold condition and the entry signal right at the bottom of that run, which has been phenomenal. So yeah, we are seeing a nice, pretty consistent uptrend at the moment, ads.
Absolutely. And if we have a look and see where our major pivot points are, we've got that pivot point up at 10, and then we've got the other pivot point down here at 3.8, where we bounced off that level of demand. We are pushing back towards the overall Fibonacci retracement, which is the 6.1, which would come in line with our VPVR point of control, and that 200 MA, I believe. Oh, it's a little bit higher. There you go. So it was very close on the 4 hour. So there's a little bit of confluence with a lot of these indicators and a lot of these pieces of TA, if you would call it that, Ty.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what our Unimoku says ads.
Yeah, we'll have a look at
on the standard settings. Do we get any confluence on the daily time frame where things might be headed? So this is Unimoku, our custom indicator that has 4 different settings. So we can see the top of our Senku Span B and our cloud lines pretty well up there with the 61 fib level around 7.2 or sort of 7.250. So this obviously is acting as our first form of resistance, and we can break above there. We don't always have to be in the cloud to use the Kumo or to use Ichi as a form of support and resistance. And yeah, again, this is why I want to wait for confirmation. It's a little bit more sort of confluence that we don't have an exact decision. But looking at the markets, we know that history doesn't repeat, but it often does rhyme. And we saw almost this exact same move last year, which admittedly I completely overlooked. I forgot about this time last year where we had the April Fool's run, or the April Fool's Day run, which we've had. What we did last year is we did run up, we consolidated slightly before another move up. So will history repeat itself? I think you've got to be on the right side of this trade and be prepared for any outcome, because as we know, where most people are looking, the whales are looking, and they're looking for liquidity. They're looking to steal the bags off you. So if things do start running up, don't be complacent and don't just think to jump into 100x long or a 50x long, whatever it is. Play smart and have tight stops.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's probably the best advice that I've heard all day. But we're looking at as well, if we're just taking it down a little further on the on Unimoku, saying we've got a TK cross on the daily, and then looking at a break through both of those averages by the baseline and conversion line. So looking okay for now, but
Totally.
yeah, looking for a little bit of confirmation or some so give it a little bit more time, a little bit more breathing room to see where we end up. But yeah, I do think personally 61.8, the 272 or even 7150, where we had that rejection there, is on the cards, not far apart there. So
yeah, and you know how much of a fib man I am, ads. And you know, if we can maintain, we've got a bit of a doji there at the moment, but what do we got? 14 hours, so still a little bit of indecision. If we break above that 23, I would be long from there if I was going off my fib rules for trading. So I will say one thing that I said on Tuesday night as well. Been trading a lot more on the smaller time frames, the 50, the 15 and the 5 minute time frames, and that's been a very new way of trading for me. Admittedly, I've dabbled in scalping, but not really been into it as hardcore as what I had. I was talking to Mark, one of our guys, web dude, inside Discord this afternoon, saying that I've been getting up around 3:30, sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock in the mornings to try and catch this action on the smaller time frames, and stepping back and developing a brand new trading strategy has really forced me to change and adapt the way that I look at structure, the way I look at my indicators, the way I look at price action, and for the first time in a long time, I'm writing out a new trade plan. I'm writing out a new way of looking at the market and new strategies and stuff like that. So it's a very simple lesson. If you aren't abiding by a trade plan, and admittedly, before I did this over the last few days, I was kind of winging it. I was probably a little bit arrogant in the sense that I've been trading for a few years. I'm quite a confident trader, but I got my ass kicked. I got my ass kicked a couple of times with some scalping trading that I was doing about a week or so ago. So if you don't have a plan in this environment, you really need to take a step back, stop chasing trades, look at your trade plan, look at your strategy and how you're trading, and really get a grip on what the hell you think you know and what you need to know. Because as we said on Tuesday, this is going to be the greatest transference of wealth that we will see this generation. And if you are not on the right side of these trades and on the right side of the opportunity that the markets are presenting to you right now, you will regret it for a very long time. So have a plan or plan to fail.
correct.
All right. So that's our thoughts on BTC. Let's look at the USD pair.
Now, we did chart this up on Tuesday night, and there was a few bits and pieces that we were looking at the time. And one of them was obviously that we've been respected on both levels of demand with this big long wick coming down, touching our lower one at about $87 or $86 it was, Tyler. We closed well above the $107 above the other demand level that we were sitting on. When we did retest that level, we didn't get anywhere near we did with that dump that we had on the 13th of March. So that's a good sign for Ethereum. While we were closing up in this wedge, we were contemplating whether it could have been a bear flag or just a wedge pattern where we were going to break upwards. But since then, Ty, on the Ichi, we've seen that we've closed above the conversion line probably 3 times now. Twice, 3 times. There we go. So 1, 2, 3. So looking good for ETH, where did say that we would probably run up to our baseline at about $170 at the moment, and then it could, if we do break the baseline tie on the daily, then we could probably see it run all the way back up to $190. So that wouldn't be a decent swing at all on ETH, and that is playing out how we did describe it on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and if we do continue breaking from here, my only thought with this volume here, though, is that we maybe just sort of teeter around here for a little bit. But what I would like to see, my area of interest, let's call it that, where I'm potentially looking at certain levels is around the top 140s. If we continue on the path that we're going, around 146 is sort of where I'm looking at where some of the indicators are lining up, and I guess there's some confluence there too at the bottom of the itchy. That's a horrible straight line. The bottom of the itchy just here lines up quite well with a little bit of confluence there. Our baseline is starting to teeter down in the sense that that's, I guess that you would call that like our lagging indicator, I suppose. It's a slower, I hate the word moving average. It's not a moving average, but it's just like a slower moving average. And we might start seeing a little bit of convergence between the two here, and that's about the midpoint. But if we're looking at Steamroller, we're looking at our CCI, looking at our RSI, we've certainly got some moves to the upside in us if we do continue the pattern that we're seeing here. So again, we've got a doji on the daily here for ETH. So really, we towards the end of the week, we see a little bit of price action as we approach the weekend, but it's almost been like clockwork. Monday morning, Monday afternoon, or Tuesday morning is when we've seen probably some of the best price action for the week. Today was the exception to that. And then on a Saturday or a Sunday, we tend to get crazy short-term sporadic moves. So I think we potentially could see something like that with BTC either way. And I hate to say it's up or down because at the moment I don't know. So the next couple of days will be telling in terms of structure and price action as to what we might get over the next few days and whether we're going to continue up or down. We need to remember as well, we are still in the middle of this economic crisis, and people are talking about the decoupling and everything like that. We've got very well-known figures saying down, very well-known figures saying up. So don't get caught in all the confusion looking on Twitter and all the crap that you see. Make your own judgments and back yourself. If you believe it's going up, play accordingly. If you believe it's going down, play accordingly. But the next couple of days are going to be very telling for myself. So I'm sort of sitting on the sidelines at the moment until I get confirmation.
Not a bad plan, to be honest with you. Not a bad plan. There's always waiting for confirmation. It's good. You can always jump into a position on a pullback, or something of the likes on a smaller time frame, so you can always set yourself up. It's very hard to catch a falling knife, as you probably all have heard so far. So wait for confirmation is not a bad idea.
I'm happy to sacrifice a couple of percent in the scheme of things if it means I can make 6 or 7%, and I've lost 1 or 2% waiting. That's totally fine by me. But again, I really want to see this volume increase.
Yeah, that's the only issue that we're seeing right now with Ethereum. That if the volume comes in and it can be in either direction, we can fall at a drop of a hat or we can pump just as easily. So yeah, we need to just give it a little bit more time and see what this price action gives us over the next maybe 4 or 5 days.
Yes. Ads. A mutual friend of ours sent me a chart on ICX a short time ago. Can we just have a look at that just out of pure curiosity?
Yeah. Did you send it to me?
No. Let's just have a look at it. I didn't send it to you. I was sent a chart and I had a quick look at it, but I'd be interested to have a look at our ICE. Let's look at our ICX ourselves.
Okay. On BTC?
Yeah. Let's keep in mind here that I'm not playing really alts at the moment besides ETH. So this is just purely out of curiosity.
No problem. All right. Let's have a look and see what we're looking at. If we look in the 4 hour... There's a couple of ways we could see where this is going, but let's go on the premise that we're looking at just this. So you've got a couple of levels to look at. Looking at that there, so that could continue to move up a little bit further. That could be your ultimate target at 4,300 sats. You've got a level of demand there, but this has just been, they've been throwing down on this, so some of this TA is not going to play out as what you really think. Using our fibs, something very basic, swing low to high, you bounce off your 50 tie and you're heading back up to your 23. If ICX can break above the 23, close above, then 4268 your target, and more than likely it's going to be that supply there on the 4 hour right above.
Yeah, steamroller giving us oversold. You can tell this was just a sporadic pump. I don't know if this has really got some life in it as of yet to hit that demand. But we do see sometimes with these really high wicks, they are kind of just like test wicks, and then we tend to regather that as we progress on. But yeah, I'm really not. I'd probably be more interested in looking at Icon on the daily, to be honest, as to really get a sense of where we're going. There's a lot of bullshit going on with this coin right now. Maybe, that's looking at, that's maybe something like that what I'll be looking at. So perhaps if it comes back down and we get a retest of the trend line before another move up towards that that demand perhaps, and that was quite similar to the TA that I was just shared a short time ago. So
that would be your daily supply there. So you've got, if I get rid of this and I get rid of this, if we're looking on daily exclusively, that's your supply. You've got 3 retests there, so that's going to be that level. You've got room on the steamroller. CCI, RSI's got plenty of room. But more than likely is going to get rejected there at that supply. If we're looking at the daily exclusively, then the 4 hour needs to cool off. Daily looks like it can run up to that 45,000, 4,500, 4,600 sat mark easy.
What does Ichi say ads?
Ichimoku on the daily, on the standard settings, we are looking like we are stuck at that cloud resistance right now. TK cross has occurred on the candle previously. If we do push above, it needs to close inside the cloud or above it to really say if we're going up or down. So this.
What about Crypto Ichi ads?
Crypto Ichi. Have a look at Crypto Ichi. Crypto Ichi is very much the same. Very flat.
Very much the same. So a bit of resistance around this point here by the looks of it.
Yep.
But yeah, lining up all right there. So there could be a move in that if we can break or clear above this 3886 sat mark in the next day or so. Admittedly, we do have a bullish TK cross there, but that's pretty insignificant looking at the size of the cloud. That doesn't really tell us too much at this point.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of flatlining, a little bit of indecision there, just ranging sideways. So a little bit more time is needed for that one. If you're looking to get into ICX, if we're looking on the daily, then there's a pullback that's needed. It's going to need to happen. If you on the 4 hour, definitely, and you could probably see there that we're butting up against it. If we bring it down to a 4 hour on ICX, you've already had your cross there, Ty. You already had that push through that cloud, and then your TK cross has occurred a little bit further back before we broke out, and then your Kumo twist has just happened. So
yeah, and I do want to. I will spend a lot of time on it, and I won't share this publicly. I'll share it with our inner circle guys. But there's a bit of a hit list of coins that I want to look at back testing Crypto Ichi and Standard Ichi, because I find that some higher liquidity coins tend to respect Standard Ichi a little bit more, and I find that some lower liquidity coins tend to respect Crypto Ichi a little bit more. And I've spoken with guys on either side of this, being Crypto Says, Zoran Cole, BTC Jack, Brent, Cole Garner, a whole bunch of guys that use Ichi in very different ways. But I think that would be quite interesting, because what I'm using now is I'm using Ichi and Unimoku to find confluence on different settings, and it's interesting how some coins respect this. Like if we're looking at this, we've got a Chiku breakout, we've had a really beautiful edge-to-edge trade here. We're starting to get what looks like to be a bullish TK cross, Kumo twist, but no real confirmation as of yet. So it's interesting when you look at certain coins on different time frames, on different Ichi settings, and what it tells you. So for our inner circle guys, I'll be sharing something like that probably in the next couple of weeks.
Very good, Ty.
All right, let's look at XRP USD.
We'll have a look at that one for you. Get rid of that. XRP USD is very much in the same sort of trend that we looked at on Tuesday night. Ty, we were just
Good volume.
yeah, good volume. That was the one thing that we noticed. Very first thing that we noticed, that there is fantastic amount of volume coming into XRP. Our highs are higher. Our lows are also higher. So yeah, looking like that level of supply where we got our 20 cent, 21 cent mark is on the cards. I reckon that will get there no problem.
Yeah, and I so much rather see this slow, steady grind up than these impulse
Yeah.
moves. And one thing that we spoke about, I think, on Tuesday night was this sort of formation happening. So I think if we can confidently close really above here and around this sort of 178 sat mark, I would be confident in seeing that continue up to that. And what sort of percent is that ads?
We're looking at, if we break out of here, that's a 15% move up to the first supply, and 30, oh no, even more than 30, sorry.
Wow.
34% to the next one. I do briefly recall that we said this would probably be the level to look for if we're looking at a supply zone on the daily type for these longer term macro scale moves for XRP. So
Yeah,
not a
just
bad
I think
one.
the biggest bit of confidence that I see there is just this consistent volume. And you're not seeing that too much on, even like we said on ETH, we're not really seeing that as of much.
You're not even seeing it on BTC.
Yeah, that's interesting. But the only thing I don't want to see is this sort of thing where we go up and then just go bang straight back down towards the demand. So that could be a nice little play.
Always, if you're trading these markets, Ty, you always got to move your stops up. Have your stops trailing your position. Have them where they need to be. Obviously, respecting market structure and what have you to protect yourself from moves like that could happen even while you sleep. So
Let's
yeah,
just bang our volume profile on that, shall we, and see where our point of control
I'm
is.
pretty sure our point of control was around this level here last time we looked at it. If I'm not wrong, yeah, there you go.
All right. So some nice whole high volume nodes. We got a nice little gap up here. This is our next high volume node here. Nice gap up again, volume again, right on our supply zone there, and then yeah, a very clear liquidity cluster there, or high volume nodes around that top demand. Look at that! Wow,
Yeah,
really well respected, really well respected. So that's nice. That could be a nice play.
absolutely.
All right, let's have a look at power, and then we shall call it a night.
I think power was on BTC as requested, so level of control is a little bit far away. Let's drop that down for a sec. But power is a little bit sporadic. So you've got a lot of wicks to the upside.
Power's yucky. The reason why I don't like power so much is because of these wicks that we get. Obviously, it's a bit of a lower liquidity sort of coin, and these crazy wicks. It's almost looking a little bit sort of Doge-like, isn't it? Like coordinated moves, not so consistent. But that's yucky. If you can be on the right side of that, then that's phenomenal.
Like, I'm completely ignoring that wick with this supply zone. So that supply zone, in my opinion, 1300 sats is the one in play. Make no mistake of that. If we do,
Steamroller looking good too.
Yeah, Steamroller is in a decent spot. Some of the indicators are trending sideways, to be honest. So not a lot of information there. You've got, if we're taking it down to very basics, you're looking at level of support here, Ty. And then look, honestly, we're waiting for some sort of move. The problem is with this is that when you've had this level here, our highs have been lower and our lows have been lower. So we're currently, honestly, descending. Ty, we could end up all the way back at 650 sats on power. It's a little bit hard to tell right now. There's zero volume and there's not a lot of price action to really mark your TA off. Besides the levels that we've drawn in terms of supply and demand. So honestly, that's the level of supply that's in play. That's the level of demand, and we could honestly range in between and have a no trade zone this entire time. If we break below sort of this structure here, Ty, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. 650 sats absolutely is on the cards.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like trading it, but you would maybe want to see it do something like that,
Yeah,
perhaps,
yeah,
if we could see a nice little cup and handle formation, but that would be totally invalidated, in my opinion, below that 800 sat mark.
yeah. So you want to have your obviously 800 sat support drawn in and take some trades accordingly to that. If we break and close below 800 sats, that 650 is going to be on the cards in my opinion as a pretty much certainty. So we'll
Yeah.
see how we go.
If we can we just put that volume profile back on quick?
Volume profile coming back.
Yeah, I do like that though. I do like how there's some volume in that particular space, and that validates our idea that if we do break back down, then I would dare say we head back towards that point of control. So this is almost like this sort of formation. So looking at these higher volume nodes, this certainly would be, if you could, or maybe there is an exchange, I don't know, where you would A, look to exit an entry, or B, if you could short it, that would definitely be an area to consider. But this is your biggest concern right now, is this volume, or there is no volume there.
Yeah,
There's no volume. If that heads back down below there, then bang, down we go.
yeah,
So it's on a bit of a knife's edge at the minute.
absolutely it is. All right.
Cool. All right. Actually, before we go real quick, let's have a look at one more, being two more. Let's look at LTC and ADA.
Let's go ADA.
Yeah.
ADA was one that we were following on, I believe, Tuesday night, if we looked at it this Tuesday night or last, but we were having a look at the trend-based fib extension. So from top to swing to back to swing high, we're getting our levels of Fibonacci on the way down, and they're respected very, very nicely on that way down. So it gives us a bit of confidence that these levels are legit and going to play out. So we've had our bounce off the 1618 tie. Since then, we've been rejected on the 1272 or the 27, and looking like if we don't pass this or we don't close above this, which being our level of control, our volume node is there, tie, that we could probably end up back at the 618 and quite possibly back down to our level of demand at 415 sats.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, that's yeah. Don't worry how you draw it in. That's yeah. That level, that high volume node, that point of control is that resistance that we're seeing now. So it needs to break above that on the daily and close. In my opinion, needs 100% wait for that close before you even think about taking any sort of long on ADA, because this market structure is still descending. Everything is lower than everything to the left of it. So yeah, at the moment, we're looking like that way is the most the bias that we're looking at right now. So until we see some sort of flip or even a V-shaped recovery, until we get back up to here or even up to our supply, I wouldn't be looking at ADA for a long just yet.
Yeah, and I think what we said on Tuesday was this sort of thing.
Yes.
I think potentially a double bottom here before a move back up. One thing that concerns me a little bit is the increasing price and the decreasing volume. So that could go very well towards that double bottom theory that we might have before a potential move up. Again, these higher liquidity nodes pair up quite well with our demand zone, and the top of, obviously you can sort of see here there's a fair bit of liquidity running around here too. So yeah, that's probably where I would be looking. Probably not, I wouldn't say exactly there, but I'd probably say something like maybe that to sort of maybe do something like that, which lines up well with this high volume node here.
We'll see how that plays out.
But we shall see. Let's bookmark that one and come back to it.
Absolutely, we will. Done and done.
All right, last one, LTC, and then we're going to call it a night.
You want BTC or USD, bro?
What do we normally look at? I think we normally look at BTC, don't we?
BTC, in my opinion, at the moment for LTC, is in the same sort of downward scenario as a lot of these other ones we've looked at today, Ty. So, in my opinion, we've been rejected here at the 78, pushed through it, closed below it, and looking like we might close below it again as we roll into tomorrow morning. Yeah, absolutely. That's where I would put it down back at that level of demand at 5,600 sats for LTC. If you want to pick that up on a daily time frame, that wouldn't be a bad price in my opinion. But yeah, absolutely down here. That's where it's going. Looking like at the moment, considering all that TA that we've just taken in, yeah, demand's where I would put it 5,600 sats.
100%. All right, ads. Let's just do one more look at our 14-day offer. That's what we've got going. That's us for tonight. So you can join us over at unitytradinggroup.com. It's right there on the homepage. Come and join us inside our inner circle. This is what we do all day long. I guess one of the blessings of a lot of us being quarantined at home or whatever it is, we have a lot of time for trading, and I'm spending a lot of time posting charts at the moment. So if you do want to come along and ask questions, if you only want to join us for the 14 days, pump us full of questions and we'll answer everything and then leave. You can totally do that too. There's no pressure whatsoever. If you want to come and just sort of see how we do things, a little bit of a different view on the market, and just come and hang out and make some new friends, then you are most welcome to join the family. And we really look forward to seeing you on next Thursday session, maybe even next Tuesday session as well, if we decide to do one last public broadcast. But in the meantime, look after yourself, practice social distancing, practice very good hygiene. We're going to make it through this all together. So let's make the most of this, learn, better yourself, and let's get towards the end of this better and stronger people, and more importantly, stronger traders. So thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next Thursday.
Catch us later. Thank you.
Bye.